America, this president only understands the here and now and not what is to come as a result of what he does. But with me now is a man who is brave enough to make legislative decisions that do consider the ramifications of future generations. We welcome back to Freedom Watch Utah Republican Senator Mike Lee. Senator Lee, no matter what we talk about, it's a pleasure to have you here. Welcome back to Freedom Watch.
Thank you, Judge. It's great to be back with you.
Was there ever a chance that your colleagues in the Senate or your colleagues in the House or even some unique combination of Democrats who thought this didn't go far enough and sound money, sound dollar, small government Republicans could have stopped this thing in its tracks?
A number of us tried to. We tried everything we possibly could do. We used every procedural and substantive tool at our disposal to try to persuade our colleagues not to do this without permanently fixing the problem. It didn't happen. At the end of the day, there were 24 of us in the Senate who voted against this measure today, and I wish we had prevailed, but at this point we didn't. We can look forward, though, to more debate and discussion that will culminate in the 2012 elections. I think the 2012 elections will make what happened in 2010 look like a Sunday picnic as Americans across this country continue to realize the federal government's too big and too expensive.
Even though Vice President Biden is reported to have referred to Tea Party members of Congress as terrorists, and even though a Democrat in the House is reported to have said that as well, what was the influence of the Tea Party in all of this? I mean, I don't remember a debate of this magnitude when the debt ceiling was being raised in past generations. Do you?
I don't, Judge, and that's the interesting thing about those unfortunate statements, is the fact that they got it 180 degrees wrong. Look, those who sympathize with the Tea Party movement, as I do, as I'm part of that movement, understand that the way to fix a broken government, the way to fix problems with our society, is through the vote, through the electoral process, through peaceful means by which free citizens are enabled to bring about change in their own government. A terrorist is someone who goes out and kills people because he doesn't get his way. So it's quite ironic that he would accuse Tea Party people of being terrorists. We want change, but we want it peacefully. We want it through the electoral process. Perhaps what the Vice President is actually saying, if he indeed said that, is that he doesn't like elections. He doesn't like Americans to actually express their will, to be able to say something as audacious as the federal government's too big and too expensive.
Well, why do you think that the Republican leadership formed this unholy alliance with the White House? I mean, this is the biggest spending, most centrally regulating, most economic planning White House since FDR lived there. Why would people like John Boehner and Mitch McConnell form an alliance with this president at this moment in time when they could have stopped him dead in his tracks?
Well, you know, I think that there's been a lot of Americans feeling like we face a lot of risk when we don't raise the debt limit by the deadline. And I don't dispute that there is some risk associated with that. But what I think we have placed too little emphasis on is the fact that the risk of raising the debt limit without solving the underlying problem, without permanently restructuring and limiting the way Congress borrows money and the degree to which it may borrow money, is also a problem that I think is of even greater magnitude than the problem that we averted today when Congress raised the debt limit.
The last time you were on the show, or maybe it was 2 times ago, Senator, forgive me, I don't remember, you were optimistic that we might actually be able to cap spending, that we might actually have a balanced budget, that we might actually have a balanced budget amendment. It now looks like none of those goals will arise from this deal that became law earlier today. Am I right?
I think you're probably right on that, and I was optimistic at the time. I do remain optimistic now in the sense that we've seen that the American people are solidly behind us. We may just have to wait until the election of 2012 in order to bring forward more people who are willing to stand behind these limited government principles. But I was optimistic at the time that if we as Republicans had stuck together, if we as Republicans had continued to stand by the cut, cap, and balance plan and say we're not going to raise the debt limit at all until you pass a balanced budget amendment and submit it to the states for ratification, then I think we could have gotten somewhere. We had some great negotiating power in that approach, but it didn't stick. Not enough Republicans were willing to stand by that and stand firmly by it, and that's disappointing. But we'll keep pushing with this message, and we will not rest until this is done. And I intend to make the balanced budget amendment an issue between now and the 2012 election so that we can get more people elected who will stand firmly behind this principle.
Senator, we have less than a minute to go. You're a lawyer, you're a legal scholar, you're a student of history, you're a student of government. Are we doomed? Are we going to be in debt forever? Is this just going to continue to go on and on and on with no relief in sight?
Well, for reasons I explain in my book, The Freedom Agenda, I think we will remain on this course until we constitutionally restrict Congress's borrowing power. Because as I explain in the book, there are forces at play here in Congress that will always cause members of Congress to want to spend a lot more than we have to spend. That'll continue until we take that power away. The power's been abused, and now it has to be restricted.
Senator Mike Lee, fighting the good fight. It's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Judge.